Hi, in part 1 of this course, you will learn how to download and install VirtualBox on Windows 10. Then I'll demonstrate the installation process for RHEL server. Next, we will talk about terminal, what is terminal and how to open terminal. Then we connect to a RHEL server using SSH. In the end, you will find summary of part 1 and that's all. To download VirtualBox, open your browser and type download space VirtualBox. Open the first link and select Windows host if you are using Windows as operating system, or select Linux or Mac if you are using it as your main operating system. And as you click on Windows host, it starts downloading automatically. For now, I am cancelling this because I already have same VirtualBox setup. Now let's talk about installation of VirtualBox we have recently downloaded. Go to setup file, it is generally found in downloads folder, and double click to start installation. Further process remains same like any other software installation. Click on next, next and finish, and that's it. Now if you want to download Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7.3, then either you can create account with redhat.com and then access to a free 30-day evaluation version, or you can follow the link which I have mentioned in a text file which is attached with this lecture. In this lecture, I will demonstrate how to install Red Hat Enterprise Linux version 7.3. I have just booted my virtual machine from RHEL 7 ISO file, which I have downloaded earlier. And as you can see here, the default options that are presented from the boot menu of ISO file, or you can say from the boot menu of installation media. By default, it selects the second option, test this media and install Red Hat Enterprise Linux version 7.3. And testing the media takes a lot of time. So normally you have to use install Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7.3. And there is third option which is for troubleshooting, which provides you some advanced installation options. You can choose it when you are unable to install RHEL server normally. But for now, I select first option. Now this takes a while for my system to get started, and when the installation program has been loaded, it's gonna ask you some questions. As you can see here on your screen, the first question is to select what language you want to use during the installation process. In this course, I am using English language with an English keyboard, so I am going to select English and click on continue. Please ignore the watermark for activate Windows. Next, there is installation summary. There are various options available, but we have to care for some of them, like software selection, which is by default goes for minimal installation. Minimal installation is fine, but you will not get much out of it, and graphical user interface is also unavailable in this option. So we have to change it from minimal installation to server with GUI. Yes, I know that real servers running in data centers won't have a GUI, but to make you familiar with Linux, we have to use this option. It is very convenient for you. So let's select this option and click on done. Now you have to wait a while until the program updates. And next we have to check installation source, which is set to local media, which is good. Now you have to specify where you want to install RHEL server, and as you can see here, it has selected the option itself, which is fine for me. I don't want to change partition right now. So simply click done. At last, you will find network and host name, which shows you that by default you are not connected to any network. So we have to switch it on, and you can see we now have an IP address and other related information. Of course, we can change it, but we will do it later in this course. Have a look on host name below. From here, you can assign host name to this virtual machine. A full-fledged host name includes DNS, and I am using example.com as my default domain name. So rel7.example.com is my host name, and click on done. Now to begin installation, I have to click begin installation button. As you can see, the system starts installing packages. But there are two things you have to take care of. First is root password. I hope you will know that root is same as administrator user in Windows, which means root has all the power to do all changes to a RHEL server. For now, I am using simple password like Red Hat. But in real environment you must use strong passwords which are difficult to guess. You will see a warning below saying the password you have provided is weak. So to continue you have to double click on done. It is necessary to create another user here because you don't like to be working as a root all the time on server. So I am creating a user Shubham, which is my name, and assign a simple password like 1234 and again 1234 and double click on done. System is still installing the packages and it will take around 10 to 12 minutes to complete. I have to pause this video for now and I will resume it when the process gets completed. Now it's time to reboot your virtual machine. On reboot and it will start rebooting. After reboot you will see this option license information and it is telling you to accept license agreement type 1 and press enter. Then type 2 and again press enter. Type Q and hit enter. Now it is asking yes or no. Type yes and hit enter to continue. You have completed all your process and your system now shows you the login screen. From here, you can log in by typing the correct password for user Shubham, which is 1234 in this case, and click on signing in or hit enter to continue. Now your system loads up and shows you the desktop environment. Here we go. It is asking you some questions. It is so because it is the first time we are logging to this new system. All you have to do is click on next, next, skip and click on start using RHEL server. And here you can see your genome help or you can call it as gnome helper. You can watch videos by clicking on it, but for now I have to skip it. So that's it for this tutorial. Hope to see you in next lecture. Let's talk about terminal. You can say terminal is an interface between user and system because we use a language which your computer won't understand. So it is terminal which takes command from user and convert it into machine language for further operations and then takes output from your system and shows you in a human readable format. Therefore, we can say that terminal is a medium of communication between you and your system. There are three ways to open a terminal. First and most easiest way is to right click and select open terminal. Second option is press window key from keyboard and type terminal. Then press enter to open the terminal. Else go to applications which is situated at the top left corner. Select utilities and inside utilities you will find terminal. Now if you are watching terminal for the first time then you won't understand what's written in it. So the first word inside the bracket is the username from which you are currently logged in, like username Shubham in this case. Then you will find @RHEL7 which means RHEL7 is your host name. If you want to know your host name with domain name, just type command hostname and hit enter. I hope you remembered this host name. It is the same which I have assigned at the time of installation. If you move forward, you will find tilde. Tilde represents the home directory of a user, which also represents your current directory. If you want to cross-check, run command pwd, which stands for print working directory or present working directory. So, we are in /home/Shubham in this path. The first slash represents the main directory, which I will explain in upcoming lectures, and the second slash represents the that home directory contains another directory named like Shubham in this case. You don't have to worry about directory structure because I'll explain it in a separate lecture. SSH stands for Secure Shell. It is an important utility for getting remote access to a computer system in a secure way. Let's say you are an Linux engineer sitting on your company server. There are hundreds of clients running in the same company but at different floors. And suddenly you received a complaint about one of your client on second floor and you are sitting at first floor. So you don't have to physically visit that computer system. You can access via SSH utility by sitting at your location. It's just a small example of SSH. Let's do a practical. I am using SSH followed by hostname localhost. I know it's a kind of weird example, but it makes you clear about how SSH works. As I press enter, it's asking me for, are you sure you want to connect? Type yes and hit enter. This allows me to connect to my own system, which I am currently using. If you watch carefully, I am receiving a fingerprint. You will receive this kind of fingerprint when you try to connect to a server for the first time, because fingerprint act as an identifier for a system. It stores in a file locally on your system to make sure that nothing has changed since last time you had logged in. Then it asks for password. Which password? Well, for the user account from which I have currently logged in. That is password for root user. Now I am in my SSH session. Type exit to end this session. Now I also have other server installed on my PC. Actually, I don't tell you before that I had two virtual machines installed in VirtualBox. Both are running RHEL 7.3 and both have same class of IP address for smooth communication. The server I am using is RHEL 7 and the server which I want to connect is RHEL 2. So SSH parik @ 10.0.2.16. There is a file which stores the fingerprint. So let's have a look on it. Cat space .ssh/known host. Cat command is used to view matter of a file in read-only format. So here is your key and that's all. Do you know that typing password each time you use SSH is kind of a risky and time-consuming process? Risky? Because there are chances that someone might guess or crack your password. So to prevent it, we have an option of SSH keys. Let's do it. SSH-keygen to generate a RSA key pair. Now it's asking me for a file to save the key, which is by default in my home directory and subdirectory with the name id_RSA, and it's a private key. As it is a private key, so now it's asking for a password to protect it. If you assign the password, it will ask you to enter this password whenever you try to use this key. It is very secure and useful. But for now, as I am using it only for teaching purpose, I don't need to do it. So I am pressing enter, and the result is that your key is now created. id_RSA is my private key and id_RSA.pub is my public key, which I need to copy over server. So we have to use a command ssh-copy-id followed by name or IP of the server. Now it asks me password of remote user, and that's it. Now if I try to connect to a server that is RHEL 2 in this case, it won't ask me for a password. That's it for SSH, because as a beginner you don't have to go deep inside SSH. So you have learned how to install RHEL server on your virtual machine and how to connect to it using SSH with or without password. You have also learned what terminal is and many different ways to open it. Hi, this is part 2, Basic Management Task. In this part, you will learn about Vim Text Editor, Linux directory structure, working with files, user and group management, managing permissions and processes. At last, you will find summary of part 2 of this course. Vim stands for VI Improved, and it is a very important utility because everything is stored as text files in Linux. Although there are many text editors available, but Vim is most useful among all of them. So, as you start Vim, you might think that you can start typing text in a file, but you don't. Because after starting Vim, you get into command mode, and command mode is for typing commands. So, if you want to start typing text, you must get into insert mode, or you can say input mode. You can get into insert mode by using A or I or O or insert button from your keyboard. A stands for append, I stands for insert, O is to open a new line, and insert key is same as I. After getting into insert mode, you can type whatever you want, and then you need to get back to command mode by pressing escape key. After pressing escape key, you need to type colon followed by WQ and exclamation mark. There is no particular reason behind using colon, but yes, W stands for write and Q stands for quit. And exclamation mark is to force the system that don't ask me anything and just do it. Well, WQ is same as save and exit feature in Windows. Now let's do a practical of Vim. Let's say you want to create a file with the name student in your home directory. So vim space tilde slash student. Well, I hope you remember that tilde represents the home directory of your current user. Now you are in command mode. If you see below, you will find the name of your file. And here it specifies the current location of your cursor. And in the last, it specifies that you can see all of the file right now. As you know that you can use I to get into insert mode, so press I. And you can see in the lower left part of the file which shows that you are in insert mode. Type here some text. As it is a student file, I can type student's name here like Harry, Tom, Martin, John, ABC, XYZ, etc. etc. But remember, it doesn't make any sense. You can type whatever you want. Now save your file. Open it again and let's try some commands here. Like DD. Now the line where my cursor is blinking before has been disappeared. Well, it does gone in buffer memory from which I can get it back by pressing P. If you want to undo some changes, you can use U. You can use R for recover or redo some changes. You can also use YY to copy a line where your cursor is placed currently. Or if you want to copy multiple lines, let's say 3 lines at a time, you can use 3YY. Take your cursor where you want to paste it and press P for paste. You can do something else like colon %s slash old text like Tom slash some new text like Bob slash G. It can change Tom into Bob. Well, if Tom is written multiple times in this file, it can replace it with Bob at all locations in the same file. It is because we have used G at the last of command, and G stands for global. Now, if you want to find some text in a file, simply use slash and type whatever text you want to find. If there are couple of text or words matches with your text, then you can use N to move from one to another text. There are some shortkeys you can use here, like use GG to go to top of the document. Use G to go to last line of the file. If you want to go to the last of a line, press $. And if you want to go to the beginning of a line, press caret. Well, there are so much you can do with Vim. You can see all available options by using vim space -- help. But I have provided sufficient information about Vim, specially for beginners. So that's it for this tutorial. This is how your Linux directory structure looks like. Let's see how you can use them. Everything is begin in your system is by this directory. This root folder contains all your hard drives and USB drives and other folders. You cannot go above this directory. This directory is represented by /. Well, it is little difficult for Windows user because there is no hard drive like C drive, D drive, E drive, etc. Instead, you will find all the matter in Linux is stored in folders. But don't worry, after watching this tutorial, you will find how useful this directory structure is. First, we will see /bin folder, which contains binaries. Files here are not in text format, which makes system to execute them faster. It contains programs that are essential for a system to boot and run. If you destroy this folder, your system fails to boot and run. You cannot open and read the contents of these programs. Then there is /boot folder. As the name suggests, this folder needs to boot your system. This folder contains the Linux kernel, initial RAM disk image, and grub. Grub is a bootloader in Linux. And then there is /dev folder. As you know, everything is a file, and this folder contains files for all devices. If you have used Linux earlier, you may remember that when you mount a hard drive, you can use a name like /dev/sda1, and SDA is the name of first hard drive which your kernel recognized, and it is located in the dev folder. And once a disk is mounted, you see it as a folder. The /etc folder contains all the configuration files and some shell scripts that are executed during the system boot. All files here are text files, so they are human readable. /home directory contains the home folder for each user in the Linux system. And the home folder of each user is named same as its username. Like if you create a user named Bob, then you will find its home directory as /home/Bob. In /home/Bob, user Bob can store his personal data or pictures or documents, etc. If you log into your system as user Bob and open a terminal, you will find that your default location is set to /home/Bob. Then there is /lib directory. Lib stands for libraries. These libraries are used by programs situated in /bin directory. And a library is a set of functions that are shared between programs. This folder is also very important for your system to work correctly. Then you will have /lost+found directory. You will find it if you will have ext4 file system. It is used in case of data recovery. Then we have /media. It is used for auto mounting of removable media. For example, if you plugged in your USB drive or CD drive, it will be automatically mounted in /media. Then there is /mnt. It is same as /media, but it is used for manual mounting instead of auto mounting. /opt is for optional software and it is not essential. /proc is maintained by Linux kernel. Usually a user cannot touch anything in this folder. It is used by kernel to run different processes. /root is the home directory of root user. Don't get confused with / directory. / and /root are two different things. / is parental directory for all these directories, and /root is the home directory of a user root. If you are working as root, then /root is set to your default directory. /run is a temporary file system and is recently introduced. /sbin is similar to /bin directory, which contains system binaries, but they are to be run by super user, that is your root. /srv contains service files installed on your system. For example, if you install a web server, it will be located in this folder. /temp is used by programs to store temporary files. This directory usually cleaned on reboot. /usr is probably the largest folder after /home folder. It contains all programs used by a regular user, and /var contains variable files. These files are not static and are constantly changes. For example, log files, which are situated under /var folder. Well, log files is a file that records all events happening in your system while it is running. I hope this directory structure is now clear to you. Creating files in Linux is a very easy process. There are various commands available for it. Our first command is cat command, which stands for concatenate. Yes, I know that in the previous lecture, I told you that cat command is used to view matter of a file in read-only format. But you can also create files using the cat command. Like, I am going to create a file with the name Harry. So, cat space greater than space Harry. Enter file matter here like hi, this is a sample file. And to save a file, press Ctrl+D. Now again use cat space Harry to view file matter. Well, if you see here in cat greater than Harry, cat is a command, greater than is option, and Harry is the name of a file. Let's create another file. Cat space greater than space Bob. Enter file matter. Whatever I am typing doesn't make any sense. And save it. You can also use cat command to view contents of multiple files in terminal as well. Cat space Harry space Bob. You can also use cat to display line numbers in file, like cat space -n space Bob. There is so much you can do with cat, but for now it is sufficient. Now there is another command, touch. Touch command is used to create new empty files. The syntax for touch command is touch space option space file name. If you don't want to use any option, that's okay. Let's say you want to create 3 files, file 1, file 2 and file 3. Then either you can use touch space file 1, enter, then touch space file 2, enter, then touch space file 3, or you can use touch space file 1 space file 2 space file 3, and that's it. It means you can create multiple blank files using touch. Then there is another command, vim. I hope you all now know about vim. So let's not repeat that and move forward to head and tail commands. Head command reads the first 10 lines of any given file name. Well, why I mentioned first 10 lines here? Because if you use head command without any option, it will read first 10 lines by default. Yes, you can specify any number of lines you want to view. Let's say you want to view first 5 lines of a file /etc/passwd. Don't think about passwd file for now. I will cover it in upcoming lectures. So, head space -n 5 /etc/passwd. N stands for number of lines. But hey, it is not mandatory to use -n. You can use, or you can also get same output by using head space -5 space /etc/passwd. There are other options available to use with head command like option -c. Using -c option followed by the number of bytes will show you any desired number of bytes of a file. Let's clear it by using an example. Suppose you want to view first 40 bytes of /etc/passwd file. So head space -c 40 /etc/passwd. Our next command is tail command. Tail command is just opposite of head. Tail command allows you to display last 10 lines of any text file. Although they are different from each other, but they use similar options like -n. You can use -n with tail command as well. Let's say you want to view last 6 lines of /etc/passwd file. So we use tail space -n 6 /etc/passwd. Next command is wc. It is used to count words, characters and lines of a file. Like wc space -l space bob. It shows you the number of lines in a file bob. Use wc space -w space bob to print number of words, and use wc -c bob to count number of bytes, and wc space -m space bob to count number of characters, and wc space -L space bob to print only the length of the longest line in the file. Use wc without any option like wc space bob, and it will show you number of lines, number of words and number of bytes together. Our next command is cp command. It is used to copy files and directory. Like if I want to copy a file bob to /etc folder, then I type cp space bob space /etc. And if I want to copy same file in the /etc but this time with a new name, so I use cp space bob space /etc/tom. And if I want to copy a folder, first I create a folder mkdir space test, and now cp space -r space test space /etc. Yes, you have to use -r if you want to copy a directory. What if you want to move a file or directory? Well, for that we have mv command. Just use mv followed by file or folder name and specify the location, and that's all. Suppose you want to rename a file or folder, then simply use mv space file or folder name like test folder here, and specify a new name like test1. And if you do ls to show the list of all available files and folders of our current directory, you will find test1. You will not see test folder anymore. Our second last command for this tutorial is ll. It shows you details of all files and folders available in the present directory, but with full details, which are not possible by using ls command, like what permissions are applied on files or folders, owner name, group name, size, date and time, etc. And our last command is rm to remove files and empty folders. Because if the folder contains some data, we have to use rm space -r. -r stands for recursive and specify the directory name. And that's all. User accounts are very important in a Linux system, and user account is not just a person who wants to log in and use a system resources, but it is also used by processes. Let's make it clear with an example. If you use ps space aux pipe less, you will see each running process is using a user account like root here. Now, let's have a look at user properties. User properties are found in /etc/passwd file. So, when you run cat space /etc/passwd, you will see this output. It is divided into 7 columns. First column contains username. Second column contains password value. Well, the password is encrypted and is kept in a different file for security reasons. In the third column, you will find UID, that is unique identification number for each user. User root has generally UID 0. There are total of 64,000 UIDs that are available. Then there is a GID. In Linux, every user is a member of at least one group, and that is the primary group or private group of the user. Primary group is automatically created when we create a new user. Let's say if we create a user John, then a primary group is created with the same name. By default, John is the only member of his primary group John. Then there is GCOS field, or you can call it comment field. Suppose you are working as a system administrator for a big MNC and there are thousands of users with their user accounts. Then how will you know that which user is from sales department or which user is from production department? Well, you can specify all these in GCOS field. Like here, you will find that user Rock is working for sales department. In the next column, you will find the home directory. Home directory is the location where a user can store all his data. At last, you will find default shell. Bash is the default shell. It is a program that automatically started when a user logged in. Bash stands for Born Again Shell. There is a nice utility --help. You can use it with any command to get a brief description about all the options available to use with that particular command. So, user add space --help. User add or add user, both are same, and user add is the default command for creating a user. Here is a list of many options. Let's say you want to create a user Tom and want to mention it in sales department. So, user add space -c space sales department Tom. If you want to verify, use cat space /etc/passwd. Now, there is another option that is -e for expiration date, but you will not find detailed information about it. So, we use main page of user add by typing main space user add and search for -e option by typing /-e, and you can see the date format is specified here, which you will not get in --help. Suppose there is a user Daniel and he is a programmer, and as a programmer he want to use tcsh. It is a shell that uses a C scripting language. So we type user add -c IT department -e 2018 10/05 -s/bin/tcsh Daniel. You can verify it by using cat space /etc/passwd. To set password for Daniel, use passwd space Daniel. It shows that you have assigned a bad password, but I am root and root can do anything.